Here's how I planned my no-mow lawn. First of all, I looked at the site. Where exactly was I going to plant it? And how much sun did I predict was going to be there winter and summer? And what kind of shade was it going to get? And that relates, of course, to the kind of plant you actually select. How much wind was going to be there to dry out the whole lawn? You probably know if you've been living there for a while, but for me it was brand new. So I did try to assess it long before I lived here. And what kind of watering system does it need? How much water does it require, or is it drought tolerant? And frost, what's the frost level, or in some regions snow level in that area? So I spent quite some time walking around looking at where the shadows fell, looking at where the water would be and where the sun shone really hot all day in the summertime, just to get an idea of what the site was doing to the ground. The next bit is ground preparation. I was lucky, for me, it was already no topsoil that had been scraped to a pile by the builders for me, and was waiting with heaps of weeds in it for going down on top of the builder's fill, and there was a lot of that. But the ground preparation, basically you need to get rid of the weeds, the grass, everything else, because it will be an absolute nightmare keeping them out if you don't do that. Then of course you're looking at what kind of soil you need to have and how much moisture retention it's going to have. I found a local supplier here in Rotorua, New Zealand. Dalton's Garden Mix is an organic mix, and it has a variety of things in it, such as organic mix, some chicken manure, some very fine screened bark, and some soil, some subsoil, which is their particular lawn mix. Because I was a little worried about how much was going on top of the ground versus what was underneath, and how easily drained it is, the soil is here in Rotorua, I put a biodegradable weed mat underneath it that would last about 18 months to 2 years. It was made of wool and has been used for landscaping purposes, like bulk landscaping, public places, to keep the weeds down. So on top of that, I got around 300 millimetres deep soil delivered, and luckily for me, my builders were on site and very fit and healthy young men. They spread it out nicely and firmed it for me. Watered it several times to make it settle, and scraped it around a little so that it was even. And for a little while I considered some areas being in an artificial lawn. It's plastic. But there's some very realistic looking lawn get. In fact, I was at a garden festival a while back and I thought, that looks so real and beautifully trimmed, until I walked on it and I realised it wasn't cool like the other grass around it, and it was in a difficult area to grow any grass under some tree and shade, and it looked absolutely lovely. The people who supply them here are experts in laying, including putting sand and pegging it down. About exactly what my growing conditions were, how much susceptible it was for frost, and we get maybe up to 5 degrees Celsius of frost here most days in winter, but we also get a lot of rain recently. So the plant that I decided on in the end was Dichondra repens. I looked at another species called Solaria, which is very popular here, but I was advised that it yellows off in winter, which was not appealing. It did take quite a long time to get going. I bought a number of small pots from the local garden centre of each of these species and grew them for a year before I moved into this house, just to watch what they were like as far as their leaf form, their colour, and how I was to grow them. Solaria took a while. It's still taking a while. Then I looked at Leptinella dioica, which is a small grass, well, sort of a ferny looking leaf with serrated edges. I liked that because it seemed to be able to grow where I needed it to grow, but I've since could only get the black version, Leptinella Platts Black. It looks like it's been on fire and my grass is dying, so I decided I really didn't like the look of the dark brown, reddy brown colour of those ones. And I found since that it's not as vigorous as the dichondra. And I couldn't get any plugs, in other words, pieces of already grown dichondra repens. I was advised to go and buy some seeds, which I did, and seeded it myself. So if you're looking at buying seeds, you need to know how it will go per square metre, and to weigh it out and be cautious about sprinkling it out. Also, you need to have some pretty good measurements, very accurate measurements of the area. I did a plan of the garden, which I drew from the building plans. And in fact, the builder was able to take measurements exactly off my building plan. Thank you, my permaculture training, for that. If you wanted to have a plan of your place, most councils have aerial photographs for their planning department, which is available to the public, which has an overview from the air of your place, and also Google Earth will have that too, but the council has it to scale. Takes some looking, however, it could be a bit difficult to find those. And if you don't know how much you want to have, Dalton's have a very excellent soil volume calculator. You choose what you're going to have, garden mix, lawn soil in particular, and you have measured the length, you've measured the width of your lawn and how deep your lawn should be. It's suggested that you go for 100 to 150 millimetres approximately for lawn. So if you'd like a nice green lawn like I've got, do a lot of planning and research what is necessary for your site, and it'll be amazing what you can do. And unlike my neighbour across the road who kindly started the lawnmower just as I was finishing that, you will never have to have a lawn mowing sound in your ears ever again.